Dr. Patterson, welcome. This is Lionel D'Souza here.
Good evening, all of you. I have put the live YouTube streaming. You can check the YouTube video. So it is live streaming. It's live streaming. We have another 3 minutes to go to start. And we have made the live streaming on YouTube. Mute all the
Yes, hello, Dr. Patterson. Thank you.
Start, no? Good evening, all of you. I welcome you all to the International Symposium on Significant Pandemic Implications on Science, Technology, abbreviated IoT, Internet of Things, Humanities, and Education. I, Dr. Shrikant Prabhu, am your Master of Ceremonies for this evening's inaugural program. It's my pleasure requesting Dr. Ashalata Nayak, Head, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Manipal Institute of Technology, Manipal, to give the welcome address. Ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Srikanth. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Chief guest of today's program, Sri T. Gautam Pai, distinguished dignitaries, Dr. J. Gauri, Dr. Manohar Pai, distinguished speakers and delegates of this international symposium, and members of IEEE site MIT Manipal chapter, my dear colleague friends. A very good evening to each and everyone present here. On behalf of the organizing committee of International Symposium on Significant Pandemic Implications on Science, Technology, Humanities and Education, I have great pleasure in welcoming the August gathering for the inaugural program. On this occasion, we are very much honored to have Sri T. Gautam Pai, Chairman, the Manipal Group, as chief guest. A warm welcome to you, sir. We are delighted to have guest of honor, Dr. J. Gauri, District Governor, Rotary International, and President, Dr. Manohar Pai, previous chair of IEEE Mangalore chapter, Professor of Department of ICT, MIT Manipal, Dr. Lionel D'Souza, Doctoral Faculty, University of Phoenix, USA, Dr. Rodney Luster, Senior Director of Research Strategy, University of Phoenix, USA. It is my privilege to welcome each one of you, sir. We are happy to share that IEEE Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, which is IEEE site MIT Manipal chapter, is being inaugurated, and I'm honored to welcome Dr. UC Niranjan, IEEE Mangalore chapter chair and Director Research and Training Manipal.net on this wonderful occasion. A warm welcome to you, sir. I also welcome distinguished speakers and delegates of this symposium from India and abroad, and welcome the new chair, Preet Bhatia, along with charter members of IEEE site MIT Manipal chapter, all IEEE student members, Rotarians and Rotaractors. A cheerful welcome to each one of you for joining us with this symposium in the online mode. I am pleased to welcome esteemed colleague friends and welcome and appreciate the efforts put forth by organizing committee members of symposium and IEEE members with the local convener, coordinator here, Dr. Srikanth Prabhu. So, as we are all aware, year 2020 has been a year like no other, with the virtual symposiums, conferences, online teaching and learning experiences throughout. Unlike physical mode, a virtual one needs a different approach to ensure that delegates can enjoy all the theory and whatever demo or hands-on associated with the symposium. We are happy to have host this international symposium and hope that delegates would be given seamless experience for learning, but there will be opportunity for networking and collaboration, which they can find in the physical mode, and wish all the best for the successful conduction. A pleasant welcome to each one of you for making this event memorable with your presence today. Have a nice day. Thank you and welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am. It's also my pleasure as a Rotarian to welcome Rotarian Rajaram Bhatt, the District Governor, Rotary International District 3182, Rotarian Dr. J. Gauri, District Governor nominee for the year 2022-2023, past District Governor of Rotary International District 3180, currently 3182, Rotarian Bhartesh, and the president of Rotary Club Manipal, Rotarian Prashant Hegde. With these words, now it's my pleasure requesting Dr. Lionel D'Souza, University Go Global consultant and University of Phoenix doctoral faculty to talk about the symposium. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, or rather good evening. I'm saying good morning because it's morning here. Well, good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed a unique privilege and honor to bring together prestigious institutions like MIT, Manipal, the University of Phoenix, and more importantly, to bring together such a wonderful cross-section of multi-dimensional faculty and professionals from all across the world. We look forward to some tremendous exchange of knowledge, and it is my hope, and certainly going to work towards it, that this will not be the first. This will just be a continuous succession of rich scholarly exchange to further the boundaries of knowledge and innovation. I turn it back to Dr. Shrikant.
It's my pleasure now to talk about IEEE site, that is IEEE Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, for which today we have the inaugural of IEEE site student chapter of MIT Manipal. So I thought, in short, I should tell you all what it is all about. IEEE Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, that is SITE, provides IEEE members with the opportunity to work with a large network of volunteers around the world, carrying out and/or supporting impactful humanitarian activities on the local level. Also, IEEE SITE focuses on sustainable solutions that make a long-term difference in the lives of people. SITE operates through local volunteers and partners working with the local communities. For more information, you can go into the website of IEEE, that is www.ieee.org, and know more about what is IEEE site all about. And you can make your contributions, or you can become the members directly by joining the IEEE in annual membership. With this, it's my pleasure now to introduce before you all the chief guest of this evening's program, Shri T. Gautam Pai, Chairman, the Manipal Group. The Manipal Group, a diversified business conglomerate headquartered at Manipal on the west coast of India, with interests in technology solutions, print and packaging, media, consumer goods, public infrastructure, AI-based security and surveillance solutions. The group has 12 plus companies operating across 4 continents, engaging 8,000 plus people. The group is also the publisher of Udayavani, a leading Indian regional language Kannada daily newspaper. Shri Gautam Pai, a third generation scion of the Pai clan, counted amongst India's most successful and revered stalwart business families. He is born on September 26, 1974 to parents Shri Satish Pai, a noted businessman referred to as Tsar of Printing, son of Upendra Pai, co-founder of leading state-owned erstwhile syndicate bank. Shri Gautam Pai is the grandson of Shri Upendra Pai. Mother, Mrs. Sandhya Pai, editor Taranga, largest circulated Indian language Kannada magazine. He is an alumnus of Manipal Institute of Technology, a premier institution of higher education in India with a legacy of excellence for 6 decades. He is leading the group's flagship business. 1. Manipal Technologies Limited, India's largest print, digital and technology solutions provider. Founded in 1941, Manipal Technologies Limited, MTL, is renowned across the globe for its secure print and technology solutions. The company has been executing critical projects for several Indian states and central government, private and public sector banks, telecom and retail industry. MTL produced and delivered more than 70% of India's citizen identification cards to the residences of enrolled card holders on behalf of Unique Identification Authority of India, UIDAI, the issuing authority of Government of India. MTL also facilitated one of the earliest direct benefit transfer transactions to each government funds to its beneficiary citizens. Today, MTL connects more than 60 lakh citizens of India to formal banking system. This is achieved through a network of MTL's 4,000 plus business correspondents actively engaged in 20,000 plus villages spanning the entire country. Shri Gautam Pai's other group entities are Global Fragrance and Consumer Business, which deals with the world's largest producers of private label scented candles. It is also the largest production facilities in India and the USA. Also dealing with engineering, procurement, and construction business, Manipal Energy and Infratech Limited, which focuses on EPC contracts for electrical transmission and distribution. Also deals with projects in rural electrification and upgradation of urban public infrastructure. Number 3, media, Manipal Media Network Limited, which deals with newspapers, that is the most famous Udayavani, also giving innovative solutions with the emerging convergence of physical and digital worlds. Shri Gautam Pai successfully guided the Manipal Group entities through 2 decades of diversification, and sustained exponential growth for the group to emerge as a formidable business conglomerate with a global footprint. His business philosophy and leadership style is very simple. Ever since his inception in the board, Gautam Pai has spearheaded the group's businesses, putting the customers first, no matter what the situation may be. Known for his compassion and exceptional treatment for his employees, he has always been humble. His vision and passion for pushing the boundaries of technology have led to several innovations that the group has pioneered to address the needs of customers across industry verticals. Also, he is an avid reader. He loves traveling all over the world. He also loves networking. He is married to Mrs. Vanita Pai, a graduate from the Manipal Institute of Communications, and who is an acclaimed author. The couple together have 2 daughters, Trisha and Devina. With this, I present to you the chief guest of this evening's inaugural program for the International Symposium, Sri T. Gautam Pai. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Shrikant. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all the participants in this symposium, all the members of IEEE, Rotary, friends and colleagues from all over the world. It's my pleasure to be with all of you for this international symposium on significant pandemic implications on science and technology, humanities and education. I hope all of you, your families and loved ones are safe and are doing well. And, I think this pandemic has, of course, driven innovation and change pretty much in, I think, almost every walks of life. Every industry has been in touch. But human beings, I think, always have been so resilient in any crisis or natural disasters. I think the resilience of human beings to overcome challenges and crises is amazing. And most crises and challenges have always brought rapid technological innovation, social change. For example, if you look at even in the American Civil War, a lot of innovation and changes happened in medical transportation, and a lot of technologies were developed. World War One, led the way for innovation and change in many forms of healthcare, including plastic surgery, in technology, in the air traffic control systems. So I think always a crisis has brought a lot of change and innovation and technology. And the COVID-19 pandemic has been no different. If you look at right from healthcare, telemedicine, the way we work, the contactless payments, remote delivery systems, pretty much every walk of life has been touched. If we look at education, which is a topic now and today, in India, about 320 million students pretty much stopped going to school and colleges and other forms of education in March. And for most people, education moved from physical education to mobiles, tablets, laptops, and other devices. From what I've read, Google Classroom doubled active users to more than 100 million since March 2020. And usage of video conferencing app Google Meet surged 25x more than what it was in January of 2020. The technology majors who offer free solutions for K-12 strongly believe that students are getting familiar with technologies and consider students as potential clients for the technology products for the rest of their lives. If we look at over the past decade, we have seen massive online open courses and edtech ventures that both challenge and also collaborated with traditional education models like the Ivy League college degrees with job guarantees. The pandemic, if we look at it, is accelerating the adoption of new challenger models. Recently, you might have heard that Google again has taken the lead, launching a 5-year course curriculum that could be completed actually within 6 months, qualifying for a job with no college degrees. If you look at from a investment and market side, the growing number of deals in the current second wave of edtech, of immersive learning, if you look at Indian unicorn Byju's growing prominence in the world scene, is making it very clear that edtech is actually already a mainstream and it is no longer, emerging. While remote learning it's not new, the evaluation challenges have always been there. But I think the pandemic has actually, pushed, or the requirement has accelerated the various technologies with advances in AI, data forensics, digital IT management, with the lesser hassles to candidates. The online monitoring have been widely adopted, and what would have taken maybe a few years has been accelerated and done few months. If you look at business, Industry 4.0 has always encouraged to imagine new manufacturing cutting-edge technologies. The foundational technologies for Industry 4.0 across value chains like speed, high-speed data connectivity, which is essential for IoT, data and computational power, analytics and intelligence, human-machine interaction, AR, VR, robotics, all these technologies, including additive manufacturing technologies, have been accelerated during this, because of this pandemic. A lot of things would have taken years have been actually done in a much, much shorter time. Soon after the lockdown, at least in India, where the restrictions have been removed or become less, Businesses came back to operations with a lot more lesser people, the shop floor with a lot of automation to make it safer, automation to actually make it more efficient. And this probably in a natural course would have taken much, much longer. Technology has played a really key role in rapid resumption of business. The technology adoption would be asymmetrical due to opposing forces, the need for resilience, agility through technology, and also the need to conserve cash and prioritize investment in this challenging environment. Of these technologies, the low investment, quick win options are getting accelerated. The ones that deliver immediate impact, like the IoT-based digital performance management, AR-based operator assistance, basic automation, all these are accelerating very, very fast. If you look at subset of industry 4.0, like the version of planning, manufacturing, the whole logistics requirement of really, really low cost operations. I think the siloed approach to operations has seen a rapid change to collaborative execution. For instance, demand forecasting always been based on historical data, and this is more internally sourced. But the pandemic shock has made all the past learning quite redundant, needing more variable real-time inputs that are also sourced beyond the current boundaries. I think this has led to adoption of advanced analytics in planning. Manufacturing function is adopting really low cost, high impact automation. Applications like machine vision, quality control, AR glasses to assist workers for operational procedures training, 3D printing of spare parts, sensor-based capturing for real-time data and monitoring has all become normal. Delivery has risen to prominence for on-time, right cost distribution of products, real-time location tracking, route optimization, and so on and so forth. I think the crisis has brought together humanity under one single roof. An unprecedented collaborative approach by researchers and pharma companies to co-develop fast-paced approvals by regulatory grants by governments has helped in the whole vaccine process. I think apart from the advance in pharmaceutical technology, big data, genetic engineering, etc., these have seen this to bring in the whole vaccine process for public use, which typically have taken many, many years. This time maybe in about 12 to 18 months from when the pandemic really started. I think empathy has become a core of governance with political, commercial, and regularly establishments. I think humans have converged with technology, put up a brave fight against a global pandemic. I wish this symposium all the success, a collaborative approach, and I thank you all for having me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words of motivation. I'm sure all the delegates, student participants will take the core values from your inaugural address, specifically on IoT, and they will get the strength of making their implementations on different consultancy projects, or even could be startups. Thank you, sir, once again. Now it's time I request as a Rotarian, my district governor of Rotary International District 3182, Rotarian Rajaram Bhatt, to give his best wishes for the symposium. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody, sir. International Symposium on Significant Pandemic Communication on Science, Technology, Humanities, and Education. Of this symposium, our President, Dr. Manohar Pai, MIT Manipal, and respected Chief Guest, T. Gautam Pai, Chairman, Manipal Group, Organizing Chair, Dr. Ashalata Nayak, Convener, Rotarian, Dr. Srikant Prabhu, and all the participants from India and abroad, and also our Rotary members. I am very much happy to participate in this international symposium. I know that Rotary Club Manipal will be hosting co-host for this symposium. The technology was very much used in the COVID-19 pandemic recently For example, Zoom meeting or online meeting. So we Rotary people are done all our training seminar on Zoom itself. The people from abroad can be participate without any expenses, and they can sit in their house and do the speeches and training, and also our club meeting also. Even in the education field also, a lot of technology came in this pandemic situation. More research has to be done in this field, and so the common people will be get benefit by this. So best wishes for the symposium. Thank you for the opportunity given for me to participate in this symposium. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the best wishes. We have also wishes from Rotarian Dr. Bhartesh, past the district governor, and Rotarian Dr. H.J. Gauri, district governor nominee for the year 2022-2023. With this, now it's time for me to introduce the president of this evening's inaugural program, Dr. Manohara Pai, MM. Dr. Manohara Pai is Department of Information and Communication Technology at Manipal Institute of Technology, Manipal. He has Bachelor of Engineering from SJCE Mysore and MTech from NITK Surathkal and PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from University of Mysore. He is having a rich experience of 30 years in industry research and teaching. He established the Department of Information and Communication Technology in MIT Manipal and was heading the department from 2001 to 2008. He has been instrumental in setting up of Innovation Center, Manipal University Technology Business Incubator at MIT, and was founder CEO till 2017. He holds 6 patents granted, US 3, Japan 1, Indian 2, and he has filed 3 to his credit, and has published 90 plus papers in national and international journals or conference proceedings. Dr. Pai has published 2 books, guided 6 PhD students, and currently guiding 6 PhDs. He is a visiting professor of ECGLEC Rouen since 2007, PhD examiner of University of Rouen, France, and University of Eindhoven, Netherlands. He has received 6 crore funding from Government of India for innovation and entrepreneurship, and has been instrumental in setting up of Innovation Center and DST supported incubation center called the MUDB in Manipal. He is certified by InfoDev World Bank as trainer for business incubation and technology commercialization. He has participated in intensive training on technology commercialization at University of Texas at Austin, USA. He has received multiple grants for research projects from BioRack, DST, IBM, TE Connectivity, Schneider Electric. He has served as Senate member of University UPSC and is serving as member of Board of Governors of MUDB. He has received an award for mentoring the innovation of indigenous dental implants technology from Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Government of India in 2009. Dr. Pai is a senior member of IEEE, past chairman of IEEE Bangalore subsection, and executive member of Bangalore section. Pardon me. His primary research interests are developing IT solutions in aquaculture, healthcare, food, and nutrition, in addition to core areas of computer communication, such as wireless sensor networks, intelligent transportation system, intravehicular communication, location-based technologies such as GPS, Galileo, Internet of Things, Big Data Analytics, and cloud computing. With this, I present to you President of the inaugural program, Dr. Manohara Pai, MM. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shrikant. It's an honor to be part of this particular function. Yeah. Respected Gautam Pai, Rajaram Bhatt, Gauri, Dr. Ashalata, Dr. Shrikant Prabhu, and distinguished online participants, a very good evening to every one of you. I consider it honor to be part of the inauguration of the IEEE site chapter at MIT Manipal, along with the International Symposium. As you know, IEEE is the world's largest technical society with more than 4 lakh members, inspire global community to innovate for better tomorrow. As explained by Shrikant Prabhu, IEEE site is a new theme introduced by IEEE to partner with underserved community and local organizations to leverage technology for sustainable development. So if you look at IEEE site, the members of IEEE site can play a major role in developing technology and disseminate information which is useful to the local community for their profession. If we consider this particular region, one such opportunity for site chapter of Manipal is to serve fishermen community. So I'm not going to talk more about this at this point of time, because I have my keynote address, which will follow after this talk. So I wish the team of IEEE site very best in their endeavor, and participants of the International Symposium a very happy new learning. And I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be part of this particular event as well as the function. So thank you. Hello.
I repeat once again, IEEE site and Rotary are on the same lines. IEEE site is in academics, in technology, it's philanthropy. Rotary is also philanthropy as philanthropy. So the way we look at it is same, but the concept taken ahead, one is in technology and another one is totally on philanthropy. Finally, it is serving society. Now I request once again Dr. Manohar Pai to give the keynote address as a IEEE former IEEE chair of the Mangalore subsection. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So how do I take up my slides, like presentation?
Sir, I'll put it on the sharing mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Done, sir. Now you can share, sir.
Okay, just 1 second. How can, just 1 second.
Sharing, share screen,
No,
arrow button, sir.
yeah,
Up arrow.
Yeah, but I'm, okay. I just hide video. Okay, yeah. So share.
Share screen, sir.
No, where is it?
Green button, sir. Down. Next to
Share
chat.
screen. Okay.
Next to chat. Yeah.
Got it. Is it
You will be,
visible?
yeah, right, sir. Right, sir.
So good evening once again. So I am working with the fishermen to support them to increase their productivity as far as aquaculture is concerned.
Sir, make it full screen, sir.
Yeah.
Slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, sir.
So this is where I am going to speak about how we can help with the technology to increase productivity of the fishermen who are a community in the coastal belt of say this particular region. So my topic is food security through smart aquaculture and IoT approach. So why I brought in the word food security is because food security today is important, globally. Nearly 50% of the population is having malnutrition, and there is a need
Power went here. We'll wait for 2 minutes. I think MP sir got disconnected. Mine is working, right? Not there. Not there. MP sir. Right, sir. MP sir, you're not audible. MP sir, you're on mute.
Okay. Is it audible now?
Yeah.
Now there is a power went off, and there is one small problem here. The slides are not visible. Zoom update now. It is Zoom is coming to update.
Cancel it, sir.
Cancel. Okay. Cancel the option.
Just share your PPT, sir.
Yeah. I know. Okay. Is visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So 90% of the global population is non-vegetarian, and if you look at,
sir, PPT is not visible, sir. PPT.
Not visible?
No.
Yeah. Just 1 second.
You stop sharing, you do, and once again share.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Now it is. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah,
I think
it's okay. See, there was a power cut here, and again it has come back. Okay. Yeah. Now I'll slide show. Is okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So 90% of the global population is non-vegetarian, and majority of the population have fish and other marine and inland product are part of their diet. So for providing nutritious food, seafood is one good source. So seafood has the micro as well as macro nutrients, and the human body requirements, majority of the micro and macronutrients that are required are available in one. So if you look at biochemical composition of fish, it has a good amount of protein, fat, and other things, which actually helps preventing in pediatrics, childhood asthma, attention, ADHD, then in the adult prevents cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, geriatrics. It is across the population provides support. What is it? Okay. So to provide the.
Can you share once again?
Yeah.
Share.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Share.
And then make it in the PPT mode.
Yeah. Now what happened?
No, it's not coming.
I don't know. Your slide is coming, and okay. What do I? Okay. 1 minute. Share screen. Okay. Has it come?
No, sir.
Now?
Yeah. Now it has come, sir.
Okay. So fish plays a main diet in majority of the population, and to provide to supply, the dependency was on marine and inland. And if you observe the statistics, the fish production from 86 to 218. Can you see these slides now? Hello?
Put it in full screen mode. Full screen mode.
Yeah. If you observe, the total capture in marine and inland is increased from 95 to 2018. If you observe, 86 to 96 million tons. And if you observe per capita consumption, it is increased from 13.4 to 20. 20.5. Now, from these statistics, the observation for you is, that is total capture 86 to 96, and per capita apparent consumption is 13 to 20. The per capita consumption is increased more than 50%, whereas total capture is increased just 12%. If you observe from 95 to 218. So it's almost for the population, the increase or demand of fish or marine fish or other sea product demand has gone almost 2,500%. So it was not possible to provide that demand through fish capture in the natural habitat because of the following issues. One is the fishing method, where there was a disproportionate destruction of non-target groups along with juveniles and subadults of desirable fishes and other benthic organisms, depletion of fish over time, risk associated with deep sea fishing, and ban on fishing during the monsoon, which again depriving income for fishermen community. And there was also imbalance in the food chain because of the bycatches, which are of low economic
It's coming in.
Power is a Zoom page. It's a dongle, but laptop. He's using laptop.
There is once again a power issue for Dr. Manohar Pai. Yes, sir. Manohar Pai, sir, you are on mute. MP, sir, you are on mute.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Most of the bycatches are of low economic value, but they are vital for maintaining the food chain, which is getting affected because during this trawling method, bycatches are thrown overboard and discarded. So what is the solution? The solution is the aquaculture. Aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms such as fish, shellfish, and plants. The term aquaculture refers to the cultivation of both marine and freshwater species and can range from land-based to ocean-deep cage production. So, if you care about nature and still want to eat fish, better eat farmed fish. This is what is the quote by Randall Brumet, Senior Aquaculture Specialist, World Bank. So, why aquaculture? The aquaculture again is a profitable business and is a major revenue generating businesses for some Asian countries. There is another benefit with aquaculture because fish, as I was telling you earlier, has a high protein retention, which is 31%. And most important is feed conversion ratio is smallest among all other possible food. So if you observe, hello, is it audible?
Continue. Yes, sir. Continue.
Yeah. If you observe, edible meat for 100 kg fed is 61 kg. That is highest in fish when compared to other possible food items as part of diet. So that is where aquaculture has become an important business in majority of the countries. If you observe the total aquaculture produce in 1985 to 95, it was 1/5 of total capture, whereas it has gone almost equal to the capture production in 2018, 19, and now. So what it tells us is the demand has gone up, and the demand could be met only through aquaculture because of many issues associated with the inland and marine capture. Now, when you say aquaculture, if you compare the production, aquaculture production, China is leading with 3 times the natural capture production. India is having more aquaculture production than this one, but there is a huge scope for India to increase like China. And if you observe other countries, some of the very small countries are producing much higher. If you take Saudi Arabia and UAE, they require a lot of the fish as part of their diet, and the production is not that much. Therefore, there is a huge push is given by the governments of UAE, Saudi Arabia, and also Singapore. So if you look at the current scenario in India, as you know, consumers look for quality fish products, and fish producers mostly use traditional approach. So traditional approach is laboratory-based water quality monitoring, manual measurement of growth rate, manual feeding, manual maintenance of fish health, which is labor intensive, time consuming, and not cost effective. The mortality rate is very high. This is what I have observed personally in our region, at least, because fishes are very sensitive to its environment. A small change in the ecosystem can affect the entire production which you have planned to cultivate. So there is a need for continuous and remote quality monitoring of the water quality and behavior monitoring of fishes in order to increase the productivity in the aquaculture. So water quality plays a key role, because like human being, even aquatic animals require oxygen, then pH, temperature, and salinity. This dissolved oxygen plays a key role in this. So we have to ensure that the dissolved oxygen is sufficiently high enough, which should be at least greater than 5.5. We say here minimum is 4 for particular species. For some species, it should be more than 5 minimum required. So these are the water quality parameters which should be continuously monitored, which is missing in the current system of aquaculture in majority part of the country. And the other basic problem is the transportation of seeds, which is another challenge in this. So we need remote water quality monitoring as well as transportation of seeds. These are the things, and good design of cages, right? So in order to make the aquaculture smart, we need smart water quality monitoring and also the computer vision methodologies, which can understand the stress on the fishes, which has a direct impact on the growth, and also this could be monitored through movement patterns. So if you observe in fish, when they are stressed, there are certain patterns such as frantic movement, not feeding, rubbing their body against rocks, not moving, gasping for air. These are the patterns. If we capture, we can understand how stressful or how comfortable a fish. So I was telling you that stress has a direct impact on the growth. So if the fishes are stressed, we can initiate precautionary, we can prevent its death, and also we can bring in some changes. That is where computer vision and water quality monitoring in real time helps. Therefore, the computer vision and remote monitoring, online monitoring, or computer-based monitoring of water quality has a major role in aquaculture, right? So we have developed some algorithms by using computer vision, where we could track the fish by using tracking algorithm and analyzed movements of some fish for some patterns, and also these patterns, which if it is anomalous, can generate alerts to the fisherman, which can who can initiate some actions. And this is the framework which we have devised. So as part of our work, we have detected no movement, frantic movement, and swimming at the surface, and also feeding pattern. So this will raise alarm indicating abnormal patterns. Okay, so these are the algorithms for checking a bottom feeding fish generally don't come to the top. In such cases, if it comes and comes to the surface, we have to learn how whether it is coming because of some stress. So in order to understand, we have developed an algorithm for swimming at the surface and frantic movement and no movement. These are the algorithms that are used as part of implementation. This is tracking by detection algorithm. Of course, there are lots of challenges as part of computer vision in tracking fishes, especially occlusion, murky water, rapid movements, deformable objects, and illumination variations. So no movement pattern is very easy to identify, where we are considering more than 60 frames, and then we see the difference between distance. It is from frame to frame, the distance, how much there is a change, and if there is no conspicuous change, then we can consider that there is no movement pattern. And similarly, we also look for the frantic movement pattern, because frantic movement pattern is one of the important pattern in understanding whether it is stressed because of certain danger or some other problem associated with it. So this is the system we have developed in order to track the fish within a cage, aquarium and a pond in our site, and we could successfully capture the three patterns, that is surface swimming, then the second one is frantic movement, and no movement. So this is the smart aquaculture system which we have already implemented in a place called Modakudru in near Kalyanpur, and this is the water quality remote monitoring system. It monitors 24 hours the water quality in the cages that are housed there, and we monitor through camera the fish behavior. And if we learn the behavior for say one particular duration of say 2 weeks, that is sufficient for us to generate alerts. And this is where we get the data into the cloud and get it to our base station. From there, we can provide water quality parameters as well as the alerts through mobile phone to the fishermen. So this is one small research project to help the fishermen in this region. So this is where we were working on one particular species, Silagosihama, and this is the place where we have, this is the seeds which we have got it from, and these are the equipments, and this is the remote monitoring system along with the camera we have installed in that. This is our team, and this is where we are conducting right now our research. So Peter Drucker says that aquaculture, not the internet, represents the most promising investment opportunity of the 21st century. So what we are, as computer science and IT professors, we say that we are complementing aquaculture. When aquaculture grows, we also grow along with them through internet technologies. So that is where I gave the name Smart Aquaculture through IoT system. So that is the brief talk on smart aquaculture, food security through smart aquaculture and IoT approach. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
From the audience. Thank you, sir, for your technical note linking to site on humanitarian technology, in which you explained about fish technology and how it can help the general human society. Sir, you can stop sharing, sir.
Yeah.
MP.
So, yeah.
Yes. Now it's time to charter the IEEE site MIT Manipal team. Over to Dr. UC Niranjan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Niranjan. I am the chair of IEEE Mangalore subsection. I'm extremely happy that today, when this, in the presence of this August gathering of researchers and academicians and also Rotarians of this region, we are opening the IEEE MIT student branches site affinity group. As Professor Shrikant Prabhu mentioned, SITE stands for Special Interest Group in Humanitarian Technology, and IEEE has this affinity group. As some of you may know, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers is a global technological society which has about 400,000 members spread all over the world in all the 6 continents of the world. And it has got many societies, and SITE is one of them. And we here at Mangalore have a small subsection. We have about 1,200 members strong team. 70% of our members in this subsection are students. So therefore, all our events, workshops, and hackathons we conduct are basically focused on the students, and all IEEE students will automatically become the members of a SITE group. I'm very happy that the SITE affinity group is getting inaugurated today here in MIT Manipal. As our international audience may know, Manipal is the dream and the toil and the hard work of our late founder, Padma Shri Dr. T.M.A. Pai, who was a social entrepreneur about 70 years ago. His social enterprises in the areas of healthcare, education, and banking are doing extremely well, and they have done lots of job creation, and then have given education and the medicinal facilities for the lower strata of the society as well. And Mahe University, Manipal Academy of Higher Education University, to which MIT belongs to, also has many volunteering societies, such as the Volunteering Society of India organization, VSO, Red Cross, and so many others. And the faculty members and the students are always engaged in volunteering their time and energy and expertise for the benefit of mankind. And IEEE also stands for Advancing Technology for Humanity. On this August gathering of Rotarians and international audience, I'm very pleased to announce the inauguration of SITE Affinity Group, and the student office bearers of this MIT branch of SITE Affinity Group are Preet Batavia, he is the chairperson, and Abhirup Mukherjee, he is the vice chair, and Hrithik Bansal is the treasurer of this SITE group, and the convener of this conference, Dr. Shrikant Prabhu, is the faculty advisor. I congratulate all the team members, and thank you for volunteering for SITE Affinity Group of IEEE. Thank you very much. Over to you, Professor Srikanth.
It's time for the acceptance speech by IEEE Site Student Chapter Chair of MIT Manipal, Batavia. Read Batavia.
Sorry, am I audible?
Yeah. You please stop sharing this. You can come on. On the, yeah. Yes, please. Go
Sure,
ahead.
sir. I'm really glad to have such distinguished guests for the IEEE site inauguration. All thanks to the International Symposium for giving me this opportunity. I'm very grateful for all the guidance and help from the professors, faculty advisors, and my fellow IEEE student branch members for helping me set up the site Manipal. We at Site Manipal promise to do our best to use the adroit technology for the betterment of the local community and work towards the SDGs as delineated by the United Nations. We have a number of projects in mind and we will be starting soon to work on it. I would like to take the blessings of one and all present here before embarking on this new and exciting journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Preet. Now it's time for Dr. UC Niranjan to put light on IEEE Mangalore subsection activities. Sir. UCN, sir.
Yes, good evening. I think I covered most of it during my introduction of the office bearers of the site group. So as I said, MIT Manipal has got a great name and fame, and it has got a great place in the technological educational area of the whole nation of India. So I congratulate all the student members and the faculty advisor and also the faculty for making time and making your expertise available for the betterment of the mankind. I wish you all the success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time for me to give the vote of thanks. First of all, let me thank all the speakers, would-be speakers for this international symposium who have made it on the Zoom platform. Dr. Aida Mayer, Eric Lema Smith, Tommy White, Ali Abu Abbas, Mr. Cyril Khisti, Dr. Lionel D'Souza, Sharifi Hungching, Adebola Debola, Awasik Olomono, Agondu Rosemary Onjovake, Hungching, Debo Oseka Olomo, Agondu Rosemary, Majib Komeni, Michael Patterson, Cassandra Fonseca, Dasantila Sharifi, Thomas G. Hunt, UNA Jia, Dr. Ranjan Kini, Dr. Deepak Vaikar, Dr. Gangli, Professor Richa Hinde, and Mr. Shyam Kamath. I thank my head of department, Dr. Ashlata Nayak, for her motivation throughout, not only in this international symposium, but also before, for conducting so many workshops and coming and giving us the leverage to organize this international symposium. I thank you, ma'am, for your welcome address. I thank Dr. Lionel D'Souza for giving a small brisk talk on the symposium. I profusely thank Sri T. Gautam Pai for his chief guest address on the international symposium. I thank my district governor as a Rotarian Rajaram Bhatt, for giving his best wishes. I also thank Rotarian Ajay Gauri, district governor nominee, for having made to this meeting and also blessing us. I also thank past Rotary International District Governor, RI District 3180, Rotarian Bhartesh, for blessing us. I thank the President of Rotary Club Manipal, Rotarian Prashant Hegde, for his presence. I profusely thank Dr. Manohar Pai for his presidential address and keynote address linking to IEEE site, which has been the second part of this program after the international symposium for the first half an hour, the second half an hour being the IEEE site. I thank Dr. UC Niranjan for inducting the charter team. I thank Preet Batavia for his acceptance speech for the IEEE site student chapter of MIT Manipal. Last but not the least, once again, I thank Dr. UC Niranjan for having given the light on IEEE Mangalore subsection activities. With this, I bring this inaugural program as a master of ceremonies to a close. Now we will go for the international sessions. Thank you very much. Thank you. No. Dr. Lionel. Dr. Lionel?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, we will
Hello.
We'll start with the sessions. We will start with the sessions.
Okay, a little early, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Shrikant.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have our first presenter ready, or are they?
Yeah, you can call out the names.
Yeah, Dr. Desantilla. We are early, I know.
No. Put Lionel only.
Dr. Desantilla, Sherifi, if y'all are ready, or if Dr. Tommy White is ready, we can go ahead with that too.
Dr. Tommy. Dr. Tommy.
Yeah, the thing is that we were planning for little later down the road. They are scheduled to be on 7:30 and 8. Okay, so is there any other presentation that can be done right now?
Lionel, you can go ahead.
Do you have any other student presentation?
No, that is tomorrow. You can start.
Okay. So let us see who's available there. Why don't we take a 10-minute break?
Yeah, we'll have a 10-minute break and we'll be back.
Okay.
We'll have a 10-minute break.
Yes, Tommy, can you and Eric present in 10 minutes? In 10 minutes time.
10 minutes to interact with each other.
Yeah. All of you have 10 minutes to interact with each other. You can unmute and talk.
Oh, yes.
Good morning. Tommy, Dr. Tommy.
I'm about to share the slides.
So, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So once we, after this 10 minutes, or maybe 8 minutes are over, once those 8 minutes are over, then Dr. Eric Lamar Smith and Dr. Tommy White will be presenting organizational sustainability, human resource strategies in the Southeast United States. So whenever you are ready in another 8 minutes, Dr. White and Dr. Smith, you are free to take the floor. Thanks.
ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವರದು ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೆಸರು ವೆರಿ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅವ್ರು ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಅವರೇ ಸಂತೇಶದಿಂದ ಯಾರು ಲೇಡಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಾನು ಹತ್ರ ವರ್ಷ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ತೆಗೆದು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಲ್
ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ
ಅದೇ
ಅಗೇನ್ ಫೋನ್ ಹಚ್ಚಿದ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಗುಲಾಮ್ ವಾಹನವಂತಿ
ಇದೆ
presentation and
Okay, so Dr. White and Dr. Smith, whenever you are ready, you can commence your presentation on organizational sustainability, human resource strategies in the Southeast United States. Thank you very much.
They'll be obliged to give. That's wrong. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು IPL ಇವ್ರು 50 ಲಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಹಾಗೆ ನ್ಯೂಟನ್
I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I want to thank everyone for this opportunity to be able to present on this international symposium. The presentation is the title will be Organizational Sustainability, HR Strategy in Southeast United States. And presenters for this presentation will be myself, Dr. White, and Dr. Eric Smith.
Good morning.
As far as the researchers, it'll be myself with the faculty at University of the People, Dr. Smith, he's an independent credit consultant, president of Enjoy Me Meals, LLC. And also another researcher would be Dr. DeSosa. He's a faculty at the College of Management and Technology at Walden University. This is the abstract. Some key things I wanted to reach out throughout this PowerPoint. We got some acronyms that we'll be using. HR, Human Resources. ROI, Return of Investments. And the KOI, Key Outdoor Indicators. And for this research, the problem that we're looking at, first COVID-19 reported in January 21st, 2020, where it's kind of disrupt the whole departments of human resource. Every country was kind of unprepared for this pandemic. What we're gonna look at some new imperatives for simultaneous attention to safety, technology, flexibility, and business sustainability that companies had to use to integrate as employees had to transition to start working from home or remotely. Also, due to this pandemic, retention became a forefront and change for human resource managers. Next slide. Now we'll pass it over to Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Dr. White. So can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. So for human resource professionals have always had to toil with difficult times, and with the rapid spread of coronavirus, it brought a troubling new twist. Unlike floods and natural disasters that only hit once, for business professionals, there have been rapid hits. What do we do with our employees? How are they affected? Do we send them home? Do we keep them in the workplace? And so employers had to decide on which employees were valuable in terms of needed to be at the work site and which employees were able to work from home. The pandemic also showed the vulnerability of our supply chain, because where the human resource managers of one company may have decided to send their workers home, the workers at another company may not have had that luxury. And so which employees were deemed essential employees, meaning that the company could not shutter the employees and send them to work at home, and which employees were necessary. The pandemic also revealed, from a human resource standpoint, the stresses and other health-related problems. One of the biggest factors was how mental health affected employees going from home. Because the work-home balance was interrupted, how would employees respond from having to leave a workplace and go home to now having to deal with work stress at home? It also revealed how the financial instability, where at some companies were not necessarily automatically automated, how are they going to employ employees? Not all employees had banks. Some employees received printed out checks. And so it showed how human resources had to decide what they were going to do with payroll, and the effect of the morale on overall attitude of the individual productivity. Now that workers were required to work from home, would their productivity drop, or would they be able to maintain the same productivity level as if they were in the plant or the office? And what were the expectations that employers had for employees working home? Was the expectation that they would continue to produce at the same level at the work site? So the COVID-19 coronavirus is becoming an accelerator of the greatest workplace transformation of our lifetime. How we work, how we exercise, how we shop, how we communicate, where we work. All these things will be changed forever. And human resource managers had to decide, what they were going to do and how they were going to answer some of these questions. And it had a direct impact on the morale of. Next slide.
So the purpose of this study is to explore organizational sustainability strategy in human resources in the Southeast United States. And we want to, once we explore that, we want to continue to find new ways that are adapting with this change, with this pandemic. Next slide.
So how do we harness and deploy and engage employees and talent to optimize the workforce efficiency? So what our study indicated, that for the majority of workers, they felt that they were being offered training on how to successfully work from home. Overwhelming response showed that employers were training employees on how to successfully work remotely, whereas they were given the tools and the technology that would help them. So one of the problems that we discovered was that for most companies, sending their employees to work from home with a laptop, how would they connect to the server? Was the information that they were working from home secure? Who would monitor their work while they were at home? How would that be monitored? Would they have to check in at certain times? Would they have to log in? All these different dynamics played an important key role on how they were deployed to work from home and foster flexible work solutions. How can companies work effectively and efficiently? Were we working 100% from home all the time, or were some employers requiring their employees to come in maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week? And how would they use the adaptive and innovative technology to attract and retain employees? Because this was the greatest transformation of the workplace in our time, how would employees work? And how would we focus on their well-being? And would this be a key factor in bringing employees into the workplace? What our study found is that over-communicating with remote workers daily helped to strengthen that and was also a great marketing tool of attracting employees to the workplace. Next slide.
Participation in data collection. So we looking at the target population that we're looking at. We go interview 5 human resource managers here in the Southeast United States and get their input on how they transition and implemented telecommunication with their employees. Data that we go collect have to be experienced in implementation of technology communication options and solutions. As they transition their employees to work from home, what technology have they used? Like Zoom, GoToMeeting, softwares like that. And data that we also using will be the semi-short interviews from the participants' responses. The overall research question, we're looking at what human resource strategies prevent workforce disruptions and aid in sustaining amidst the pandemic. Again, we're gonna be looking at the 5 human resource managers in the Southeast United States. They had to have the experience. They integrated from working from in the office. Now they got to transition to start working from home and remotely. And as far as HR departments, how they continue to keep in contact with their employees, senior leadership, because the employees want that rapport, that everything's gonna be okay. Because right now everything is unprecedented, no uncertainties, no vaccines has been provided yet, even though they still has got one, possibly might be coming out. But right now, most employees are still working from home.
So we focused our analysis using the Innovia Qualitative technology. We used a thematic analysis and focused on 3 particular questions. What are important HR strategies that HR managers implemented? And what they found was the quickest thing was to focus on employee safety, especially for those that were having to still come into the office or to the work plant. This was a requirement of using masks, checking temperatures. Have they traveled outside of the workplace? Who they have been in contact with? These are the types of questions that employees that were still coming into the workplace had to answer. And this was very important if we wanted to have the sustainability and continuity of the workforce. Being proactive on survival strategies for the business was paramount. And the next question that we found, the theme was, what are the challenges faced by many employees? What are some of the challenges? So looking at this, we found that workers could do better if the employer was willing to focus on their well-being, meaning were employees able to make time to set a time for frequent breaks, Were they allowed to exercise, stay well hydrated? Were there boundaries when employees were working online? And were all areas of their well-being important to the employer? This is really key because not only did employers have to adapt to working from home, employees had to adapt from working from home. And this transition was not easy from what we found through our study. But for managers, it was, can they be more transparent about their culture and answering questions and providing feedback to the employees? And this builds a robust trust, feels a sense of belonging and a shared purpose, because there's definitely a disconnect from when employees were coming into the workplace and now the employees are having to work at home. Is there connectivity? Is there culture? Do the employees working from home feel safe as if they were working in the work site? So these are some of the issues that leadership teams had. One of the other things that we discovered is that a lot of employers, employees wanted the use of video, just like we're doing right now. The use of video, it creates emotional connectivity between the teams. It's a point of contact. It allows for us to see one another, which we used to do when we were working in the workplace. And now that there's that separation of space, the use of video calls and conferences has enabled employers and employees to stay connected. This technology also provided the opportunity for employers to communicate to their employees daily, daily check-ins, even having virtual coffee breaks, together, or have end of the week recaps. This also allowed for checkup on the status of any projects that were going on. Again, this use of technology has allowed for better connectivity with employees who were forced to go to work from home. The work from home model also had some physical challenges. Just sending an employee home and saying, okay, work there, where do they work? How do they work? So it was important for employees to find a space where they could focus, which could be difficult, if they had kids or partners or spouse who were always at home. Were there places where there'd be natural lighting, comfortable furniture? Employers didn't think of those type of things when they were just telling their employees to go work from home. And so from a manager standpoint, training had to not only be involved on how to do their job, but it also had to be training on, where to work your job from home, and so a lot of our responders indicated, that they established e-learning courses where the employees could interact there. And employers could gauge their progress on those type of things as well. The technology has also allowed for the recording of meetings, for key meetings that were employees may have missed or would miss from working at home. When you're working in the workplace and you call a meeting, everyone comes together, for those type of things. But there are times when working from home presented challenges. So how could employees effectively do that? And so some of our respondents indicated that they had virtual meetings where they would have people to say, hey, go grab a cup of coffee, bring some tea, let's sit around, show off your cup of coffee, let us see the different mugs that you're using to help to facilitate connectivity. This also had a great morale on the return on investment because it showed that even though there's distance between us, that we still have the flexibility of working as a team. So HR also involved allowing employees to get engaged in the decision-making process. Because, as you know, if it was just to log in, you know, some people have difficulties with just staying focused on staring at a computer all day. And so giving other responsibilities of decision-making, things of that nature, segmenting into different teams, this allowed for there to be a connectivity and a greater return on investment. And then the last question was how will social distancing and working remotely affect the new norm? You know, the different outcomes of the coronavirus are changing every day. There are too many unknowns. You know, the impact is not fully known on how it will affect the workplace. So accepting and is definitely an ongoing process. Continually improving is the ongoing learning is vital, and reinventing on how we do business. So next slide, Dr. White. So 80% of our respondents indicated that the employees were satisfied on how human resource was supporting them through technology, through conference calling, through thinking about their well-being. Whereas 40% of the respondents were aware of how working remotely impacted their daily lives. Not only were employees sent home, but for a lot of them, their children were sent home, homeschooling. You know, it really shuttered the educational system here in the Southeast United States. So not only were employees having to work, but now they were also being required to be the teacher in some cases, or being the support teacher with their students. And for some of the population, the parents were the only ones that had a laptop. And so how could they balance doing their work from their laptop, and their students have a need of the laptop as well for school? So 40% of the respondents saying that they were aware their employer was concerned, but they didn't totally realize the impact that it would have on their lives. There were other, 4 out of 5 of the respondents noted that their companies were not prepared. As Dr. White had pointed out, the first case that was reported here in the States was in January. And by March, employers were sending their employees home, but they didn't know how they were going to coordinate the work from home process. They weren't prepared. Did they have the technological infrastructure support people from logging into their mainframes? Did they have the capability of providing all their employees with laptops to be able to work from home? You know, these things were foreign to workers and to the employees. You know, so 4 out of 5 of the respondents noted that they were not prepared for how COVID-19 would impact the workplace. But 5 of 5 respondents felt like their employers had ongoing training and technical support for their workers, which accounted for the employee satisfaction ratio being so high for the employees. 100% of our respondents said that they had to implement new safety protocols. And this was very key for the survival of the business, because they were being exposed with not only their family members. When they came back into the workplace, what are the protocols for returning to work? What if someone tested for positive for COVID? Would they be allowed to come back after the 14-day quarantine? Did they have to go back and get rechecked to make sure that they were actually free from the coronavirus before they could come back into the workplace? But so 100% of our respondents said that they had established some protocols to mitigate how COVID-19 would affect the workplace. Next slide.
So the goals of the research team, once we put our data, write everything up, we're gonna provide innovative approaches and methodology to other businesses, HR departments, how they handle the same situation. and compare those approaches. We want to conduct workshops on HR platforms, get with different HR managers, and see what strategies they use to implement as employees start working home or remotely. Also, we want to present locally and internationally. For instance, like what we're doing now in an international symposium. Continue to spread that word, strategies in the HR departments, because this pandemic has changed the whole world. The different HR departments are trying to figure out ways to how to continue to sustain beyond this pandemic. Again, like Dr. Smith said, there's a lot of uncertainties with this pandemic. And collaborate with international HR researchers.
So does the workplace disappear, or is work from home the only way to move forward? It's an interesting question and interesting proposition. You know, in order to meet the demands that COVID is, the challenges that is provided, one of the things that we have to decide is how are we going to continue to do business? Is the hybrid model now the new norm, where employees come into the workplace 1 day out of the week, 3 days out of the week, rotating? Do offices now take their offices out of buildings, whereas they may have leased spaces for 30, 50, 100 people? Now that those people are now working from home, do they continue to lease office space? Is that overhead now necessary? Or have companies decided that working from home is now more efficient and cost effective? Has the business model drastically changed forever? Are there tools that are available to help us to maintain working from home? You know, for example, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, virtual meetings, Slack for communication, G Suite, you know, Dropbox, collaboration, notation for documentation. Are these tools the new work tools that we utilize in the workplace? If the decision is that we're not going to continue to work remotely and require employees to come back, how will that look? Are we going to continue to offer social distancing in the workplace? Do we shutter several offices? Do we space out cubicles? Will we limit the number of people that are now allowed in meeting rooms? Do we allow everyone to come back at one time, or do we have alternating days for the employees to come back to work? You know, the future of work is the future of worker well-being. And one of the most important things is, how are we going to manage well-being? With the growth of digital economy, our ways of working and the stresses and managing work-life integration, and now dealing with the coronavirus, assisting workers with their well-being has never been more important. And it's important that if we're going to require employees to come back to the office space, how will that affect them? Now that students are at home, will they be able to come back into the workplace because now the parent is involved with the teaching and the education of their students? So our finding is definitely going to have to address these issues. The physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual well-being of employees has to be paramount in any type of decision of coming back into the workplace, because that'll be another disruption and another transformation that we haven't seen. Which takes us is, how is corporate culture strengthened when workforce is so spread out? You know, how do you have connectivity with everyone in different places? You know, is the virtual meeting good enough? You know, how does that with the redefining of our business, with rethinking our assumptions regarding our current business practices, is corporate culture as important? Or are we just looking at the remote status of employees as they're independent contractors or they're independent from the corporation? These things have to be considered. Are we providing cross training for employees to add new skills? Does this help build culture? Does this help the employee know that they're still a part of the team? Do we create team projects in order to create connectivity with one another? Does that help build the culture? So these aspects are things that definitely have to be addressed. Is the role of HR in work life and employee wellness taken into consideration? What is HR's role in thinking about the well-being of the individual worker? Is there a role for HR? Do HR departments become less centralized, or do they become more centralized? These definitely are things that have to be considered at this time. Next slide.
In the conclusion, as we wrap it up, the human resource managers, they have adapted to the new norm. This pandemic, everything is changing day by day. The CDC guidelines are making recommendations to make sure their employees and customers are safe at all times. Masks are being required to be worn. Temperatures are being checked. Certain buildings you go to, restaurants. Here in South Carolina, and worldwide, the cases daily are increasing on normal. Telecommunication technology options for employee working remotely. HR managers had to kind of move swiftly to remain sustainable through this pandemic, implementing teleconference technology, still building that rapport, keeping transitions to the new norm, because the new norm might be for the next future. And they have to adhere to this recommendations by the CDC. And these are the references that we use throughout this presentation. That concludes the presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Smith and Dr. White. Very illuminating presentation. For a very illuminating presentation on the conditions that persist. I would now take the opportunity to ask Dr. Tila and the Rutgers team to take over.
Thank you, Dr. De Souza. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Tila.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I will start sharing the screen. Can you see the slides okay? Yes. Okay. Excellent. So welcome everybody to our session, and thank you so much for having us present today at this prestigious symposium. My work here is basically focused on improving student engagement. So I have been teaching online for 6 years, and when I got together with my colleagues at Rutgers University within the Department of Health Informatics, we discussed this opportunity of actually doing some research. So my colleagues, Dr. Yuan Jia, Dr. Thomas Hunt, Dr. Ndaga, and I engaged ourselves into a research study that we have just started and will continue. We are still in the process of collecting the data. With us today, I only have Dr. Gia. She will be my co-presenter, but the research, as I mentioned earlier, is done by the four of us. So let's get started. I will first provide you with some background on how we came up with this research idea. So in the process of teaching online, we have seen that students tend to be less engaged. Sometimes we lack the instant interaction with them. Even when we have live sessions such as this, there may be distractions, and sometimes students might even miss the key points of the presentation. In addition, with COVID-19, we are faced with students who are dealing with more responsibilities at home as they are trying to be full-time students. Our students tend to be adults. They have multiple responsibilities. They probably work during the day. So even when there are live lectures and sessions such as this, it may not be possible or feasible for all of them to attend. All of these distractions create an opportunity there for disconnection in the content and the way they are actually learning. So our teaching method can make a difference, we believe, in the way they are interacting with the course and in their learning process overall. There is a Chinese proverb that says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, engage me and I learn." So that's where we focused our study in this concept. How do we engage our students so that they can actually learn and grow in our programs? So engagement is very important. We already have seen that from prior research. Students that are less engaged tend to remember less concepts down the road, and they may not be critical as good in critical thinking. They also tend to be isolated, sometimes in the online environment. So in our method, in our approach, we figured we need to do something different. And our approach is focused on using new tools and methods. And again, the overall goal here is to improve student engagement. In this process, we asked ourselves multiple questions, but the main ones were, how do we engage students through videos? Videos seem to be a big, very popular tool out there, and students tend to attend those pretty, they're interested in watching videos. Then how can we capitalize on that and assign them as part of their coursework? The next question was, how do we help them focus on the areas that perhaps we see, an expert eye would see, but because there are so many distractions or they don't know that that is so important, they may not see. Also, the third question was, how do we know that they have watched and understood the video that we just assigned? So we needed a monitoring process as well. From there, we came up with our project or research objectives. Basically, we wanted to increase the interaction of the students with the course content. And for that, we are using what we call play-posit activities, and I'm going to show you in just a moment. We also wanted to increase the interaction of students with the professor through the videos, live sessions, the virtual office hours, and timely feedback. We wanted to increase the interaction among students themselves by creating some small group work. We wanted to improve process engagement and results engagement in the course. Beyond that, we also wanted to examine their perceptions on whether these teaching strategies are helpful and effective, and also wanted to explore multiple ways to evaluate student engagement in the online learning setting. So here's our work plan. In our courses at Rutgers University, the School of Health Professions, it's the Department of Health Informatics, we use a teaching platform called Canvas. We also have a video tool called Kaltura. Within Kaltura, there is an option to create videos that have some sort of quiz in it, and that is called Play Pause It. So basically, it's an interactive video tool that combines the professor's explanation on key content areas and questions, and that can help the assessment. So making sure that students are understanding, they're comprehending the material.
Let's check.
I mentioned earlier the importance of critical thinking.
Wait for some time.
So in order to improve that aspect and to help students connect the dots and go beyond the disconnected content that they usually go from week to week, they're just reading a chapter or a section and trying to remember that, memorize that, or maybe even forget it until next week. So we were trying to create an environment that would help them bring those concepts together. And for that purpose, we created course projects that were meant to connect these key concepts. There is also a very important area. Is it possible to avoid the noise and the chat in the background, please? Thank you. So, so then we have the videos that are interactive. We have the small group so that students can interact better with each other. And we have a course project that is making it possible for them to connect to the different areas of the content. So let me show you a little bit more on our course platform, how that works. So this is the course that I called Canvas. The platform itself is called Canvas. This is the video, a sample video, and basically it shows you right from the beginning that this video will prompt you with questions about the electronic health record. So because that is the course that I chose as a sample. So students know once they click on the video that they are going to be tested. So they can listen to the video, and then I'm not sure if you can notice here, there are some marks. There is one. So once they reach that mark after 6 minutes or so, they are prompted with a question. So by stopping and prompting them with a question, they basically are forced to react towards an important concept. In this case, is data accuracy. They can answer that and they continue. Point two, so they're listening again. So when they click continue, I'm just skipping the video parts for the purpose of presentation. But basically now that they have gone through that video, that portion of the video, they were able to see that there is some patient information and there are some details about that patient. And in that process, they were able to see the template. So here again, they have another question and they're being asked to think a little bit critically. The question is, does the social history you just saw satisfy the guidelines? So basically, they have read the chapter where the guidelines are, they're watching the video, they're seeing the patient's medical record, and now they're being prompted to think about that and figure out whether what they saw satisfies the guidelines. So that's another example. So again, trying to bring up where the key important areas of the lesson are. We go further in the video and there is another question. So this one is about data entry, whether data entry can be automated or manual. So I'm hoping you get the idea here. Okay, so that's what these play-pause-it videos or interactive videos may look like. And then in the course, where we go, and I realize that not all schools use this platform, but we do. So basically they have their content organized each week, and those videos are embedded in the readings and multimedia. So every week they have a reading, the chapters, the multimedia, and then they have assignments or discussions that are based on those. So I hope this helps you visualize a little bit, the platform that I was discussing. So that's week 2 and so on. So let's go back to the presentation. So we know the components here. Okay, so this is a little laborious, and usually it works well when we are talking about advanced classes. This one in particular is about data management. And again, it's within the Department of Health Informatics, is the program on health information management. So the professor needs to do quite some work to create that course content that I just showed you, create those videos, upload them, create the questions that are in those videos, and then create a course project that actually will connect all those pieces of information together. There will also be group space. So groups, small groups, about 3, maybe 4, but no more than that. The average we try, we strive to have about 3 students in the group. And they have their own group space. They know where to go for the content of the videos. They know the key areas now because we're using those stopping points, and they know what's expected of them. So then they can start working with each other. They can do the videos individually, and they can look ahead and try to work slowly, gradually towards completing that course project that is due at the end of the course. So this is our structured plan, basically to make sure that we're not missing any steps. Are there any questions so far? Is there a need perhaps to go back and show you the platform, or are we good? Okay, so because I realized that, and we can go back to the questions if necessary, but because I realized not every school uses Canvas or play-pause-it, I wanted to bring up some other methods, maybe some other ways of doing it. It doesn't have to be exactly the way we are doing it, and especially for that research proposal that we have. So you can actually look online for other tools. There are a few that I pulled here, such as Snagit, Camtasia, Explain Everything, Edpuzzle, Screencast-O-Matic, or VideoAnt. Now, you could even use your phone sometimes, and you might say, well, how do I include another stopping point with a screen and a question? Maybe it's not going to be fancy or extravagant or that advanced. However, you can still stop explaining. So you have chosen your key concepts to explain. You can do a quick stop, explain the difficult concept, ask a question about that concept, and just pause. Pause for a few seconds. That will give your students an opportunity to think and possibly answer in their head. And then you can assign homework based on that video instead of having a large complex project the way we are doing it. So you can adopt some portions of these methods into your classes depending on the level and depending on the tools that you have available. And now I will pass the presentation to my colleague, Dr. Ieee.
Thank you, Tina. It's my honor to present right here to communicate our study here. So with that introduction, So the purpose for this project, we are trying to increase student engagement. So we hope by implementing this kind of teaching strategies, we hope we will be providing more active learning opportunities for our students, and we can build in learning success metrics and data collection, and then improve students' retention. So next slide, please. So based on our objective of the projects, we have 6 objectives. So we are trying to, like, the biggest problem in this project, I think, is how can we measure our students' engagement? How can we evaluate our teaching strategy really has an impact in our students' learning? So with that, we were thinking of the outcome measure as student engagement. So student engagement can be measured by process engagement, also the results engagement. So some of the process engagement, we could look at the students, like, for example, completion of the PlayPosit assignments, and we can look at the students' attention of the live events or the recordings. We can also look at the frequency of students' interaction in that Canvas platform space, or either other collaborative tools students they might prefer. We can also look at the completion and the quality of the course project deliverables. These are more about like process kind of engagement measures. So the other measures we are considering for objective 5, 6, these probably more of result engagement. So for example, we set every course, we have end of course evaluations, and we can ask students to reflect what they learned, what their experience are, either by individual interview or focus group, or asking them to write up some journals or reflective memos. We from the analyze those memos, journals, we can know better about students' engagement and their experience. And we can also adopt some of already validated tool about student engagement surveys to evaluate students' engagement. So lastly, we are envisioning, we hope we can pull up of some of the more objective data from Canvas platform. For example, those log data, PlayPosit analytics. So hopefully we can develop a multiple way or innovative way to measure and evaluate the student engagement. Next slide, please. So yeah, by implementing those teaching strategies and the evaluation we are trying to get here, we hope we can improve students' learning experience, and we are expecting they will develop more communication skills, teamwork skills, critical thinking, problem solving, those kind of skills. Hopefully all these skills can help them for their lifelong learning process. As I already mentioned, we hope to implore the multiple way, innovative way to evaluate student engagement, especially in the online setting. So the online platform actually provide tremendous opportunity for us to dig more about students' data, collecting data, and to analyze how students interact with the online platform and how they learn. So that's a great opportunity, we think. The last, we hope the course we develop here, this teaching strategy, later we hope we can share the best practice, the lesson we learned from the online course, and making our online program more unique. So yeah, I think that's pretty much our presentation. And then we are happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy, Dr. Jia. Thank you all for listening, and I hope this has given you some ideas on how to perhaps improve teaching in your classes. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, glad to be here with you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Jia and Dr. Tila. I think your presentation was very apt for the present situation where we are moving all over the world in more the asynchronous or whether it is synchronous form of online engagement with students and teaching. I think the presentation was absolutely on the spot, very relevant. And once again, thank you for sharing your knowledge and insights and your research.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can stop sharing, Dr. Joy, and that would.
We have stopped sharing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so at this stage now we would request the next team to get ready to present, and I believe that would be COVID-19 and vulnerable populations, a study of the experiences of healthcare workers in Nigeria and the United States. Dr. Sherifi, Dr. Cheng, Dr. Debwale, Dr. Egondo, and Dr. Lionel D'Souza will be the presenters.
So hello again. We have these back-to-back presentations. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for having us today. I am Dasantila Sharifi again, and with me today are Professor Egondu Onuyekwe, who was the spearheader for this research study, COVID-19 and vulnerable populations, a study of experiences of healthcare workers in Nigeria and USA. With us, we also have our co-researchers, Dr. Hang Ching, Dr. Debo Awosika Olumo, and Dr. Lionel D'Souza. So I don't think I need to say that much more about COVID-19. We all know it started about a year ago, and it is a very highly contagious disease. As of about 10 days ago, we had over 50 million cases confirmed and over 1 million deaths. And if we look at the World Health Organization chart, in which I can go in right now, those numbers have gone up significantly. We know by now that prevention for this contagious disease is possible, but certain measures need to be applied, including wearing a mask, washing hands, and keeping the physical distance. We also know, and research is showing us, some of the research, during the last few months, that these preventive measures are not being followed properly. And as a result, we have those large numbers. We also have seen over these past few months that vulnerable populations are disproportionately affected by COVID-19. For that reason, we decided that the focus of the study would be the vulnerable populations, not all, but specific ones in the US and Nigeria. And just wanted to very quickly bring to our attention here the most up-to-date numbers actually for the coronavirus. And just in the last 24 hours, we had 346,000, almost 345,000 new cases, and over 58 million confirmed cases, over 1.3 million, that's almost 1.4 million deaths. So it is a dire situation that requires serious measures. We have the vaccine, a few vaccines on the lineup, but again, there is going to be time until they all take effect. For this reason, we feel it's very important to focus on prevention and how healthcare workers are experiencing those situations with vulnerable populations, and maybe understanding their gaps and deficiencies better. And I will pass the presentation to my colleagues at this time. Please tell me when to move to the next slide.
I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
People hear me?
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
good. Okay, good. This is Professor Egondonye. I'm a professor of health informatics. So health and technology are kind of intertwined in what I do. As Dr. Sherifi has already indicated, there are differences amongst the populations, but again, what are we calling the vulnerable populations? The vulnerable populations can be individuals, they can be groups of individuals, they can be people of given race, they can be people in certain defined occupations, or people with pre-existing conditions, or even the elderly, you know, wherever they may be. But those are kind of the similarities that we can see between people in Nigeria and the US. Another important definition is the determinants of health. Remember all those social and economic determinants of health? The health of the vulnerable populations are exacerbated by many determinants of diseases. It can be income and social status, employment and working conditions, education and literacy, childhood experiences. If children are abused, either at school or at home, that may predicate them to certain types of vulnerability and diseases. The physical environment in which people live in, if their water is contaminated with some chemicals and all that, they may be more prone to cancer and all that. The social support systems and coping skills that people may have all these conditions and there's no help coming from anywhere. And then of course, the usual health behaviors of people. And this is paramount to the differences we're going to be looking at today in the United States and Nigeria. And then of course, access to health services. So then if you look at this particular slide with the vulnerable populations for Nigeria and the US, first thing you see is that we have data for the United States. Look at the data for the United States, and you will find that a large proportion of the group in the United States is vulnerable. But if you then break them down, you will find that the minority groups, whether they're Asian Americans, Hispanic and Latinos, or African Americans and Blacks, have highest rates of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. So COVID has added another dimension to the vulnerability of people, apart from the social and economic and physical determinants of health, COVID has now created even more problems. Now you look at Nigeria, many of the populations within big cities and all rural communities are still exposed to COVID in ways that mitigate against prevention. So everybody's kind of waiting for vaccination. Next slide, please. So then, excuse me. So then, what is the problem that we're looking at? And we say that we have high infection rates, high hospitalization rates, and people are dying at an exponential, more than exponential rates, both in the United States and in a country like Nigeria. We don't have very succinct treatments for these people, and the vaccine is here, but they still have to figure out the logistics and how and why this will be useful for the population. So then if you start looking at this, the COVID problem has provided a completely different scenario for this. Remember when the World Health Organization started promoting the Healthy People 2020, where we were going to use the infrastructure or some kind of increase the Internet of Things and use them as ameliorators and help people either to educate people and understand what they should do, and also help in treatment and logistics and data collection and all these other things. All of that now is kind of sidetracked by the COVID itself, COVID-19. And both for the United States and for Nigeria, there are three major W's that we work with and three major C's that we work with, and they are related to each other. Forgive my voice. So then we say, you know, the three W's for prevention, wear the mask. You know, wear the mask and protect yourself and protect everybody else. Wear the mask sounds so easy. I will get back to that in a minute. Then we say the second W is wash your hands with soap and water. I will also get to that in a minute. And then the third W is to watch your distance, whether you're counting distance in social or physical means. Then there are the three C's. The three C's say that you should avoid closed spaces where there is very poor ventilation. You should also avoid crowded places. You should also avoid close contact situations with people, even when you are with them. So then these are, on the surface of it, all of this look easy, but they're not being followed. If they're not being followed, then the consequences are that the disease becomes both acute and chronic, and then people die. And then there's all these financial and other burdens. And so I want to just give a few illustrations of what these preventive mechanisms, let me even just take the three W's in the United States and in Nigeria. In the United States, people are now doing the three W's, wash your hands, put on your mask, and maintain social distance. not because they cannot afford it or because they're not aware, is that there is also another contradicting piece of information out there. And then people talk about their individual rights, whether they have the rights to wear masks or not, and their individual First Amendments and all the rest of it are probably compromised. Therefore, mask wearing may or may not be critical to it. It doesn't matter how many people are dying. Now, contrast that in a place like Nigeria, where the mask may not even be available. Even if the people have the information and all that, there may not be money, there may not be access, there may not be logistics, even if the government has it, to distribute the masks. Then you talk about washing your hands. In the United States, for most places, except parts of those vulnerable populations also that don't have water. So if you're going to wash your hands, you have to have regular supply of water and soap with which to wash your hands. And they said at least for 20 seconds. So if you have water and soap, washing your hand is not a problem. Now think of a place like Nigeria. How are you going to wash your hands if you don't have water? Not to talk about soap. There is not a steady stream of water, whether it's tap water or water from the wells or whatever. Many people don't even have direct access to water. Then you talk about the prevention that includes watching your distance, whether it's social distance or 6 feet apart or about 2 meters or whatever it is. You know, how do you do that when most of the people are engaged in community-based efforts? Think of the marketplace. That consumes more than 80% of the population. That's where they go and buy and get their foods and exchange goods and services also. And then you add little things like funerals and christening and all, and weddings and all that. Okay, the intensity of aggregation precludes social distancing by nature of the way the population itself behaves. Okay, so for us to be able to address this problem succinctly and effectively, we have to understand the prevention barriers which will help us address the issues at hand and improve our compliance, maybe through education and all that. And things like the 3 Ws can be worked on easily, but the 3 Cs are a little harder. You know, if you tell people not to be in closed spaces and all that, and there are 2 or 3 generations of families living in a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apart, how do you do that? You know, so we have to engage and figure out some tools and ways. That is why this task is very enormous for us. But it's better to hear from the people who are experiencing these limitations, that is those who are providing these services. And I'm going to turn you over now to Dr. DeSouza, who will handle that area of data collection. Dr. DeSouza?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Egondu. As you rightly said, we need to understand these issues, but how do we do that? Well, the most optimal approach would be to do what's known as qualitative research. And why qualitative? Because qualitative is ideal for understanding human dynamics, the dynamics that was just mentioned, washing hands, those preventive measures. It'll take a long time to conduct quantitative studies. So that's why we feel qualitative is very appropriate. It is very suitable to understand and glean insights into human phenomenon and generate the knowledge that is necessary. So instead of quantitative and statistical approaches, we chose to use qualitative research. And furthermore, we're not going to be content with just conducting interviews, which we plan to do in the United States and Nigeria. But once those interview data comes in, we plan to analyze that using qualitative techniques and examine that data and the findings in relation to regulatory agency data and information, let's say from the CDC and so on, the Centers for Disease Control, the World Health Organization. So that's why a case study is the design. The method is qualitative, the design is the case study. Next slide, please. Now, we also wanted to, from another perspective, look at the theoretical kind of leanings and postulations that might apply. And in order to do that, to give this study a holistic understanding of the phenomenon, we have chosen the theory of health behavioral change to get the lens of a theoretical perspective woven into our findings and look at it from different possible angles. Now, the important postulations of this theory are that humans are, self-regulation, skill and ability ranks high in the behaviors of humans. Knowledge and beliefs are important, especially when it comes from tested sources, reliable source of information, and that shapes behaviors. So we're going to see all those different aspects of theory applied to our findings and see the importance of communication on the severity of the condition and how improvements can be made, how improvements are ongoing, what are the deficiencies and how they can be further improved, and what it means to offering some kind of support in social forms to these vulnerable populations. Our goal, in short, is to look at the situation holistically from a qualitative standpoint using a case study design and the lens of some theory. And the goal is to come up with knowledge that will be of value to these populations in Nigeria and in the United States. And we have specific populations that we are going to be focusing on. Next slide, please.
Well, thank you, Lionel. Next part of the presentation is about data collection analysis. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
From specific Nigerian and United States locations, we will obtain primary data sets from chosen interviewees. We will have 4 interviewees from Nigeria and 8 from the US, so our sample size is 12 participants. There are university requirements, federal and state regulations, and international laws that we must comply with during the data collection process. A good example is a signed consent form for the participant. We then have to transcribe the data from all 12 interviews and analyze them. From our research project, we need to review the data for the interviews for common themes. Finally, we then triangulate the data against secondary data from sources that are credible and sources that have authority, such as the CDC and the WHO. Next slide, please. Thanks, Tila. Now we will talk about the dissemination of our findings. We hope to present the completed study in various presentation formats for dissemination. We plan to offer phased and actionable strategic recommendations to healthcare organizations and agencies that will help with this cause. We would like to develop and hold workshops on prevention measures and strategies for the workers in the healthcare industry and for the people in vulnerable populations. We will be preparing and submitting subsequent papers to peer-reviewed journals. Finally, we are aiming to participate and present our research findings in future conferences similar to this international conference. Now I'm going to hand off to Dr. Debo, who will discuss the conclusions part of this talk. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Dr.
Yes,
Debo.
we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted entire population across the globe. Epidemiological data and healthcare research findings have shown that vulnerable populations are of special concern. Because of higher risk of infection and adverse health outcomes, hence the importance of study on this population can never be overemphasized. Our study on vulnerable populations will help in the understanding of issues and barriers regarding compliance and adherence to prevention measures. It will also help in drawing of conclusions and offer recommendations by comparing findings against standard and emerging healthcare practices. It will also help in proper application of credible guidelines from the CDC, WHO, healthcare and regulatory documents, and other government gazettes, etc., in care of the population. It will help in the evaluation of limitations and potentials in the implementation of preventive and control measures with goals of generating knowledge on protection of vulnerable populations. I will now hand over to Professor Ego for the final part of this presentation.
Again, let me thank all the people who have shown up for this. And I'm happy with our group. And one of the things that we are trying to do here is to make sure that people have an in-depth knowledge about COVID-19, but not just having the knowledge about COVID-19, but how it's affecting those populations that we have defined as vulnerable. And remember that the populations who are talking about their issues have now been complicated by the resident social, economic, and physical conditions that they find themselves in. Okay, and so the research is going to be multi-pronged right now on ways the pandemic is affecting these vulnerable populations, and so will be the preventive measures, as we have mentioned earlier. These things that look so easy on the surface are not just that easy. And then we will show, of course, that the knowledge and the information we have deduced or extracted from the research will contribute to positive social change. So then from that, we will make recommendations of how we can serve the vulnerable populations in terms of the severity of the disease and the prevention. And I'll get to some of the tools and IoT areas where we can use to sorry about that. Hello? Yeah, sorry about that. They decide to call you when you're speaking. Okay, so we can also develop or build some things that people can act on, actionable strategies that will apply, especially to these vulnerable populations, and give specific solutions to help them adhere to the preventive strategies, the 3 C's and the 3 W's that we have already mentioned in this presentation. And at large, offer enough knowledge to the rest of the research and implementation communities, and also show some unique things that may be applicable to some of these populations. I'm sorry about that. I'll continue. I'll try and finish briefly here. So what are the unique things that we need for them, and to not only safeguard them, but protect them also? And these vulnerable populations, as we said, in a place like United States, they could include the prisons, they could include the plantations, they could include the elderly in nursing homes, they can include racial zip codes where minority populations live, and get into a lot of problems with this. So then we should be able to recommend tools that not only the doctors or people who care for these people can use. We can do things like telemedicine, teleconsulting, and telehealth with people, and tools also such as the Weinstein's whole patient insight and pieces decision science will give us insights about the patient themselves and the concomitant social, economic, physical determinants about the patient, and help the physician to not just manage the patient's needs, but also manage their housing, their transportation, food, and other factors that may contribute to making them vulnerable. You know, when we look at companies like Insignia Health and Health Loop, which provide tools that help facilitate education and help patients to be more active, we will most likely deliver more information. But then what if the infrastructure is not there? What if there is constant power shortage, as in Nigeria? How then do we reach these populations? So the Internet of Things may or may not work at this time. Some of these things may be done physically, you know, to go to the people. Then there is the COVID. If there is the COVID, then of course, again, we revert back to the simple techniques of prevention. So we have to make sure that they get masks. We have to make sure that there is water for them to wash their hands. We have to make sure that the physical distance is limited so that they are not breathing on each other and spreading the disease. So what we're saying is that the challenges ahead are very real, but that's what those of us who are in the research environment always look for. And hopefully our findings will provide clues on how to handle these challenges. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for listening to us.
I will stop sharing. Thank you.
Yes, we're done.
Yes, well, thank you, Dr. Igondo, and thank you to all our team members. At this juncture, I will call upon Dr. Shrikant to take over, and I think we have no more presentations from this side. So, so Dr. Shrikant, your vote of thanks.
I thank all the presenters for this evening. It has been really nice of all these interdisciplinary topics during these COVID-19 times. One talk on sustainable organizations, one talk on applications of Yeah, applications of it's not coming video. Yeah, applications of generic healthcare in terms of telemedicine towards COVID-19. So all these talks have been beneficial for all the participants. And now I would like to share one small letter which has come from one of the archbishops. Right. Right. So this is one letter of appreciation from the Archbishop, sharing it with you. What he wrote about the symposium. He gave his blessings. It's coming here. Taking some time. Yeah. You can have a look, all of you. It is from Western Region Catholic Foundation for Education in India. So dear friends, to the organizers of International Conference, I offer my best wishes and sincere appreciation at this wonderful optimism and many positives of digital and traditional education. In trying times, knowledge can transcend boundaries and overcome barriers to bring hopes for all. So this is one letter which we have got. So I'm really grateful to the Archbishop of Nagpur and Chairman WRCFE, Elias Gonzalez. And once again, I'm grateful to all the speakers, and I would like to be in touch with each one of you so we can do some interdisciplinary work on these lines, and we'll continue to have such symposiums further, because even for us, it is the first time we are doing it from a distance. And I thank Dr. Lionel De Souza for the first day deliberations. And we'll join tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. So please be there by 5:15 p.m. as today. Dr. Gangley from Deakin University is going to give a technical talk. Then we will have a talk by Dr. Deepak Vaikar from NUS Singapore, and then by Dr. Ranjan Kini. So there are 3 talks, right? So please be there by 5:15 p.m. Indian Standard Time tomorrow. Until then, good night. Lionel.
Yeah, one second. One second, yes. Tomorrow's presentations will be by Mr. Cyril Khisti on pandemic influenced human resource management initiatives and policy in government and private Indian enterprises. There'll be another presenter, Mr. Majid Gomani from Turkey, and his presentation will be called Adaptive Learning with Dynamic Structure Neural Networks. And finally, we'll have a presentation by Dr. Michael Patterson, and that will be pandemic implications on online higher education and the challenges in blending andragogy and pedagogy. So those will be from
Lionel, but one clarification. Lionel, but one clarification. Sure. The first 3 talks are by Gangley, Deepak Vaikar, and Ranjan Kini. So that is from 5:30 p.m. till 7:45 p.m. Then it is Mr. Cyril Khisti. That is from 7:45 p.m. onwards. Then Majid, 8:15 p.m. onwards. Then I think Michael Patterson, right?
Yes, correct. That's exactly as you. Yeah, Dr. Michael Patterson comes. Yes.
Yeah. So we will have continuously, we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 talks tomorrow. 6 talks. Ali is speaking tomorrow. Ali,
I think is the day after tomorrow. Let me see.
And we can keep student presentations also tomorrow, and we'll finish it off if possible.
Yeah, so we've got Ali on the 25th. We've got Mr. Sham Kamath on 25th. We've got Dr. Ada Meyer and Dr. Cassandra Fonseca. And then we've got Mr. Dilip Sadankar all on the 25th.
Yeah.
Okay, so
okay. I thank you all once again. We'll meet tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. sharp. So we'll join at 5:15 p.m. tomorrow. 5:15. 5:15
which
p.m. Indian time. Indian time.
In Eastern Standard Time, that will be 6:45 a.m.
Yeah. We really enjoyed your presence. We all enjoyed your presence, and we will have it more tomorrow. Right.
Thank you, Dr. Srikanth, and good night, everybody.
Yeah,
good night. Good evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
No. We'll go. What to do? End. Okay. Bye, all of you. Bye, Majid. Bye, Sham. Bye, Gundu. Bye, Lionel. Bye, Tommy. Bye, Abiru. Bye, Kastu. All the students,
Bye.
please be there by 5:15 tomorrow. All IEEE and all the other presenters and all the participants. Right. End.